Hello and welcome to Hooting Mandrills. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Sam.
And today we're going to continue our set review of Aetherdrift, today focusing on the blue cards.
First up is a card that I don't think is very good, but I am of a sort that I am historically terrible at evaluating. Aether Syphon. 1 blue artifact, starts your engines, 2 and tap to draw a card. At max speed, when you draw a card, each opponent mills 2 cards. Getting to max speed for this seems impossible. This is not Teferi's tutelage. If this card is good, that's okay, because it is sort of an unbounded Reckoner Bankbuster Maze Mind Tome, and I never know if those cards are going to be good. I had to acknowledge that Reckoner Bankbuster was good eventually, but I just can't get my mind around these sort of Maze Mind Tome type cards. I think it's because they're analog in Magination, a card called Book of Ages, which is 2 energy, power, draw a card every turn, is like close to unplayable, but sometimes these cards are good. This one's a little expensive, but you sure do just get to keep doing it until they spend artifact removal on the thing.
Yeah, I think that like a lot of max speed cards, it's just like, it's so hard to get max speed in Constructed. It's just like...
If this card is good, I don't think you're ever getting to max speed in the deck that wants it. You're just like a blue control deck that
wants to draw a card for 2 every turn. You want to just have a clue
wants
token
to have the
every
option
turn.
to draw a card for 2 every turn cycle.
Yeah, this is probably Commander nonsense. They probably want to untap it over and over again, and it's probably good like that.
I mean, it still costs 2, though, so like in non-commander, eggs type stuff, I don't know. But 2 blue is kind of tough in eggs, maybe, as well. I don't know. Probably not good. We're not the people who are going to play this card. All right, so we have Bounce Off, which is an instant, return target creature or vehicle to its owner's hand. So that's just unsummon, but it also says vehicle.
Yeah, if you feel nostalgia for unsummon, fuck you, I guess. This is a technically strictly better bounce spell that's legal in Standard. So you're playing this, or you care about hitting opposing non-creatures more than you care about being able to bounce your own stuff, in which case you play into the Floodmaw. Not too much to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking about how we were missing unsummon, and then they just make a better one. All right, we've got more no abilities creatures in
Caelorna, Coral Tyrant.
Sure, I'll buy that.
That's a 0/8 octopus. Just enormous booty. And is an enormous booty for 2 mana good enough? And I don't know, but my gut says maybe.
I think it's pretty good. I mean, you're getting to 8. Like, you don't really fear Heartfire here. You know, it's just like, good luck.
This is absorbing a lot of damage against red. That's true. It also,
and then on turn 3, it's just, okay, Pride of the Whole Clade.
Yes, that too. In these sort of butsy decks, in Historic or Alchemy, this is a number that makes it so it maths out that on your nut draws, you are just going Pride of Whole Clade into Fear of Change, make an Emrakul on turn 3. And it's probably worth a couple copies for that, maybe more if you're trying to build the Alchemy version. I haven't looked into Alchemy in a while. It also isn't a defender. It has no keywords on it, including defender. So if you have...
It attacks.
it attacks, and if you have Plague on, it attacks with 8 power. It is large. It is large and can be made in charge. There's also some butt attack stuff in Standard. We mentioned the cat that does it, the backup cat in white as a Watchwolf that sees no play, but is kind of good with this. There's Bedrock Tortoise, which can just turn this into a huge beater. Even if you are just using it as a butt to tell the red decks to leave you alone, this doesn't die to ill-timed explosion unless you're discarding Omniscience. Just like sits there, is mostly unkillable for red decks, and continues to sit there after you wipe the board. It could be a sideboard card just because a butt is more important than eating food or drinking water. As Lise Johnson here said.
This one I like a lot better. I think this one's funny. Doesn't die to cut down. All right.
True, 8+0, greater than 5.
Diversion Unit for a 1 and a blue 2/1 flying artifact creature. And it also has blue, sacrifice this creature, counter target instant or sorcery spell unless its controller pays 3. This card is fairly gas.
This is another instance of where I'm wondering if my imagination brain is fucking with my ability to to evaluate a card like this because I've played so many Props and Wellisks. When I was first getting into Magic and got like a loaner deck from either one of yours, Jeremy, or one of our other friends, and I looked at like some completely ordinary counterspell. I think it was Negate, and I was just like, you can do that from your hand? I understand that these like creatures that sacrifice themselves to counter things are not as good in Magic. They're sort of face up, but
it also keeps you off stuff, you know, like I can't play that. I don't have 3 extra mana. So like it's face up, but it's just like, what do you do?
Yeah. Malevolent Hermit saw some play. It did have a backside, so it was sort of a 2-for-1. But this has Artifact as a relevant
It's
type.
a beater in the air, too.
It chips in. If it goes under Soul Cauldron, then, which is a card that did not coexist with Malevolent Hermit, that's pretty cute. Maybe you're like some sort of Chromhost Seed Shark deck. Every spell is sort of conjuring a 3-mana leak into your hand because you're making a little incubator and you're always threatening to turn it on and make it into a diversion unit at all times. I think this card's cool. I think it'll see someplace somewhere.
I agree. Yeah, I'm not sure it's breaking anything, but I think it's quite powerful, and we'll see it a lot. All right, we have a reprint of Gearseeker Serpent. 5 and 2 blue, affinity for artifacts, 5/6 and 5 and a blue. This creature can't be blocked this turn.
Card's already in Pioneer and back, already in Pauper, etc. So if you can put enough artifacts into play, maybe there's a blue affinity deck that wants this in Standard.
Yeah, the 2 blue is a little tough because I think in the affinity decks you want to be 3 colors, maybe just blue and white, but
It's also less likely that this card makes the cut the more colors you are, because you go into more colors to have more card quality. But if you're like mono blue or blue white, maybe.
yeah, for sure. Cool artwork on this one though. All right, this card is good, I think. Mindspring Merfolk, 1 blue for a 1/1. Exhaust X blue, draw X cards, and put a 1/1 counter on each Merfolk creature you control.
Even if this card isn't good, I think it'll see some play, because Merfolk decks in Standard are currently playing that like
Tap on tap.
Oh, well, they're in their 1-drop slot. They're currently playing that 1/1 flyer with Disguise and some Disguise text.
Yeah, that card's horrible. So
like this exhaust power is better upside than flying, I think, especially in a deck that is already built around
Soul Cauldron.
a Soul Cauldron combo.
It says draw a card on it, so that's powerful. All right, up next we have Mu Yanling, Wind Rider, 2
This is
and
card number 4, I think. That's
just worse
like Enduring
Curiosity.
but worse.
2 and 2 blue, 2/4. When this creature enters, create a 3/2 colorless vehicle artifact creature token with crew 1. Vehicles you control have flying. Whenever 1 or more creatures you control with flying deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. Yeah. Just vehicles suck, and it has to have flying. All your creatures really do have flying in the Enduring Curiosity decks already, but doesn't stick around like Curiosity does, and the vehicle synergy fairly useless, I think.
Yeah, you have to be really vehicles-y for this to be a card that can compete with Enduring Curiosity.
Still doesn't have flash or
Yeah.
anything.
No flash. It leaves behind a 3/2 vehicle when it dies, but that's a lot worse than leaving behind a enchantment Enduring Curiosity when it dies.
Pretty abysmal in blue. I guess in the blue-black deck you have crewers, but like it's not good. All right, I think we can move on. Possession Engine, 3 and 2 blue for a 5/5 artifact vehicle. When this vehicle enters, gain control of target creature an opponent controls for as long as you control this vehicle. That creature can't attack or block for as long as you control this vehicle. Crew 3.
Yeah, so sort of a Mind Flayer control magic type of effect. Gain control of a thing. It can't attack or block, but it can crew this, though crewing this means exposing it to it maybe dying and them getting their thing back. I don't think this card's great in Constructed. I think it is great in Limited. Mind Flayer saw some play when it was legal in Standard, but
Yeah, I mean, we do have Fling in Standard, so we could... I'll take that, crew it, fling it, see you later.
I mean, is that
good? Is that better than a 3 cost?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I feel like if
It
you're
isn't.
trying to fling the thing you're stealing, just play Threaten.
Yeah.
of some sort.
I agree. Yeah, I don't think that this really has a home.
I am more of a threatened gamer than most people, but yeah, I think this card's just not quite there. Cool though. All right, here's a card. Ranger's Refueler. 1 and a blue. Artifact. Vehicle. 3/3. Cruise 2. When you activate an exhaust ability, draw a card, and it exhausts 4 to become an artifact creature forever and put a 1/1 counter on it. So it's possible that this card is just up the beanstalk and you're just gonna play this and get so much value on it. It takes more work than beans to draw a card on its own, which makes me a little skeptical of this card in that regard, but it's one of those things where I won't really know for sure until I play with it.
Yeah, I think that there's a possibility for this card. Exhaust seems pretty fun and pretty powerful. Drawing a card is also always good, so we'll see. I think that there's the opportunity for this to be good. This card is a banger, the one that we're focusing on primarily, Repurposing Bay.
The other new card that we're using this slide for is also good, but more of a role player. All right, so Repurposing Bay. 2 and a blue, artifact, and it pods. Now this is pod racing. For 2 and tap, sacrifice another artifact, search your library for an artifact card with mana value equal to 1 plus the sacrificed artifact's mana value, put that card onto the battlefield, then shuffle. Activate only as a sorcery.
That's really good. Birthing pod for artifacts. You know, just like keep making them bigger, keep finding new artifacts until you win the game.
It is a little harder than Birthing Pod to activate every turn. It's more expensive, but less expensive to play. And there sure are artifacts that have a lot of their value very front-loaded and or cost-reduced themselves in Standard right now. One of those artifacts is new card Memory Guardian, which is a 4 and a blue, 3/4 flying with affinity for artifacts. So in your artifact-y affinity deck, this is probably pretty easy to play for 1 mana a lot of the time, and it pods into a 6-drop.
Yeah, there are some good 6-drop artifacts, I would say. But yeah, then of course there's a bunch of other expensive artifacts that you could be going towards, and you know,
we're going from because
they're
cheap
made
and
cheaper.
Most of their value is in ETB, like Demonic Junker, another affinity card that is technically a 7-drop. It'd almost be better if it were an 8-dropper.
Yeah, because then you could get Portal. I looked through the 8-drops that are artifacts. They're not amazing. There's that one that destroys on cast and attack, but from whatever that set was.
Those Brothers were,
yeah. But
one 8-drop artifact that does cost reduce itself that I've liked but has never quite been there in Standard is the Skullspore Nexus. It is discounted based on the greatest power among creatures you control, so you need kind of a big guy to...
I mean, with your synthesizer, it's pretty good.
Yeah, like
but the other thing is that it doesn't trigger alongside tokens dying. Non-token has to die.
Yeah, and also it is not a card with all its value being tied up in ETB. Its value is focused more around sitting on the battlefield and doing stuff, but I think it gets some support this set, and I wanted to shout it out.
I mean, still doubling your 8/8 artifact creature into a 16/16 is not negligible. But yeah, cool card. Tithing Blade was something I was thinking about with this one, where you just like Repurposing Bay Tithing Blade into Synthesizer or something. Seems powerful. Up next, we have Riverchurn Monument. 1 and a blue artifact. 1 and tap any number of target players each mill 2 cards. And then exhaust 2 blue. Tap any number of target players each mill cards equal to the number of cards in their graveyard.
There are mill cards in Standard. Often those decks also care about milling yourself. You are still trying to play Millstone in the year 2025, but there's stuff going on there where you're milling yourself and milling your opponent, and maybe you're
it's just like
unearthing Teresian Mindbreaker and getting them. The exhaust is also kind of cute to copy with Hit Automaton. It's pretty likely to mill an opponent out if you can double it. I don't know that mill is going to be great in Standard, but
there's that 10-1 thing too.
The Mind Skinner.
The Mind Skinner guy. Yeah, there's some cards, but I think it's tough to do mill in Standard right now. A lot of the really good mill cards are not legal, but maybe in Pioneer this card sees some play, or maybe even older formats. I could see it.
Next is Roadside Blowout. Classic good limited card. 2 and a blue, repulse. 2 and a blue, return target creature or vehicle an opponent controls to its owner's hand. Draw a card, but as a sorcery. But it costs 2 less to cast if it targets a permanent with mana value 1. So that makes this sort of remind me of Fragment Reality, where if it can reliably hit a 1-drop, it's pretty great. If it can't, it's just a good limited card, but it's a card to keep in mind.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking like Venerated Rot Priest nonsense.
Oh, that's actually pretty... I am as Rot Priest brained as most people, and then some, but I did not think of that.
I was thinking about...
if it were an instant, then it would be insane.
Insane for Rot Priest, yeah. As a sorcery...
As a sorcery, like, you're not saving Rot Priest from
with
anything
anything
by bouncing him, but
yeah.
Other than maybe a Sunfall next turn
yeah, like then they can't do it. I don't know. It's kind of cooked, but yeah, I don't know. I kind of want to try some kind of Rot Priest ley line of, what is the red one called again? Resonance. Yeah, I play it every day. I don't read the cards. I just look at the pretty pictures. Yeah, ley line of Resonance, kind of cute. Draw 2 cards, get 2 poison counters. Pretty fun. I don't know. Probably not good enough as a sorcery. If it was an instant, we'd be in a completely different world with this card.
Oh, you actually can't use it on Rot Priest. It does say opponent controls. Unfortunate.
Targets a permanent return vehicle. Oh, yeah, this card sucks. I don't know. Yeah, just play it in limited.
It got the Fragment Reality nerf before it even made it out to print, unlike Fragment Reality. Well.
Yeah. I don't even know. Don't high pick this either, I don't think.
I think it's good in limited. Repulse is always pretty good in limited, but
yeah, it's probably good in limited. You're right. All right, Scrounging Skyray. This is a fish pirate. 1 and a blue. 1/2 flying. Whenever you discard 1 or more cards, put that many 1/1 counters on this creature. So kind of cool. I mean, a more Mako type effect, but in blue.
Costs 1 more, but it sure does fly.
Cycles as well. Potentially as well. Possible to see this card. Good with Props Memory, Caelorna, Scholar.
Spell Pierce is back. Y'all know what it does. It's a good card. It was legal in everything but standard. It's legal in standard again.
I think it's necessary for this card to be legal in standard. It's just like what blue needs.
It is nice for format hygiene for any sort of blue deck that isn't leaving all its mana up all the time. So once again, you will be able to just say no to Sunfall some of the time. Spell Pierce, unlike Nancy Reagan, we are happy that it is around.
And up next, we have Stall Out for 1 and a blue sorcery. Tap target creature or vehicle, then put 3 stun counters on it. Cycling 2. This is sick in draft. 3 stun counters might as well just say it's gone forever. But as a sorcery, kind of rough.
If you're mono blue and you need a removal spell, I think this will be better in some decks than Unable to Scream. Mono blue removal spells are bad, but if you don't have enchantment synergies, stunning something for 3 turns is usually mostly getting rid of everything but its static abilities. You have a cycling buyout for when you don't need the effect. Counter, there's some proliferate stuff for counters. You can maybe sometimes get rid of the thing for good before it comes back by Flood Pits Drownering it, or be like a little bit more of a stun focused deck somehow. It's not world shaking. It's not going to be a super important card, but it's a card that people will play some of.
Yeah, it gets the job done good in draft. All right, next is Thopter Fabricator. 2 and a blue vehicle, 4/4 flying. When you draw your second card each turn, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact, creature token with flying, crew 2.
Yeah, so this is the vehicle version of the sort of card that I thought might catch on when we talked about Foundations and didn't in Homunculus Horde. Like, unlike Homunculus Horde, this does not itself trigger Enduring Innocence, which makes it like even less likely to be playable.
And it doesn't make more homunculuses either. Homunculi, where you're just like,
it doesn't even have the exponential like high roll potential. It is a vehicle, so it
avoids Sunfall.
It's a little safer to leave around and try to draw cards and make Thopters, but I don't think this card's very good.
No, I don't either.
Transit Mage, completing the cycle of Trinket Mage type cards. This one finds cards of mana value 4 or 5. If you're playing a format where the One Ring is still legal, or you really care about finding Mystic Forge to make your deck go, this card finds them, I guess.
I don't really see this as being playable in older formats, though, so maybe, I don't know. If you're one of these people who plays that deck, you'd know better than me. All right.
Another card that I shrug at and say maybe it's good in Otters, but probably not. Unstoppable Plan, 2 and a blue, enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, untap all non-land permanents you control. It is at least in the colors that the Otters deck currently is, unlike the Beast Rider guy, but it sure is a 3-mana enchantment that doesn't do very much.
Yeah. It's not for us to decide whether this card will be played. But, you know, I used to like Corsair Crucifix, so.
Next, we have a couple of blue speed cards that I think are pretty bad, but maybe have a particular case where some number of one or both of them might be playable. So we have Vnwxt.
There are no vowels in this word. We don't know how to say it.
Verbose Host. 1 and a blue, 0/4. Legendary creature Homunculus. Starts your engines, but it sure does not help you continue them going. It does not even have 1 power with which to poke if it goes unblocked. You have no maximum hand size, and once you're at max speed, if you would draw a card, draw 2 cards instead. Slick Imitator. This 2-drop is a 1/3, so it can actually continue to rev your engines after it starts them if it doesn't get blocked. Dies to more stuff though. When you're at max speed, you can pay 1 and sacrifice it to copy target spell you control and choose new targets for the copy. These cards are quite bad. That said, a cute little trick that's been popping up in older formats, hasn't really caught on in historic yet, but combo is there, is Glaring Fleshraker plus Curiosity. Curiosity is, due to being old as shit, worded as if enchanted creature damages an opponent, you may draw a card. So it doesn't require combat damage, so if you put it on a Fleshraker and start flesh raking, you start drawing cards. If you're in sort of a pingy Fleshrakery deck, maybe interested in playing speed lands with Fleshraker like we talked about in Colorless, and you're interested in being blue, maybe you play some number of Imitator to copy you get to speed and get to copy a Kozilek's command and just feel insane about it, or maybe the host and you're curiositying for 2 each time. It sounds fun, but I think
the host is a little too much. Yeah, I don't think you really want to do that. But
if it's either of them, it's Imitator, and it may not be either of them. I think there might be something to a deck like that. Some of the speed lands seem good with Fleshraker. That's also a deck where doing the Gingerroot speed thing seems like it might make sense. Gingerroot also wears Curiosity decently well. So there's maybe a deck there. Maybe it play like 2 Slick Imitators in it or something.
Maybe. There's so many options in your Glaring Fleshraker Curiosity deck of colorless spells you might want to play, and also better blue spells. You know, like copying is decent, but having 4 turns later, you know, is kind of a rough sell. Up next, we have Waxen Shapethief. For 3 and a blue, flash shapeshifter, you may have this creature enter as a copy of an artifact creature you control, and it also has cycling too.
We talked about this a little bit when we talked about Colstoke Yearhulk. This just puts itself into the graveyard and is a clone.
I guess it brings the Quandrix Trumpeting Carnosaur thing into standard a little more. It's only 1 thing. You can't like keep going or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I like about this for like Discover combo type stuff like Carnosaur is that, yes, being legal in standard, but also the fact that the clones are pretty dead draws, and this cycles at least. You can't play it in the Quintorius combo because it doesn't copy Planeswalkers like Spark Double and the other one do, but if you're some sort of Carnosaur-based Discover combo, this is maybe good there.
Yeah, maybe. We'll find out, I'm sure. Well, that's all of our blue cards. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know which Aetherdrift card you're most excited about.